Well, over the years, China and Singapore have established three major government-to-government projects in Suzhou, Tianjin, and Chongqing, and also state-level bilateral cooperation projects such as the Guangzhou Knowledge City. So, Mr. Prime Minister, do you envision, for instance, introducing a new project during your term, or what are some of the new areas of cooperation do you expect, apart from these existing initiatives?
I would first clarify that these existing initiatives are not simply projects that are completed and then we've turned the page and then we move on to something new.
Developing and growing.
They are work in progress. In fact, they are platforms. The G2G, the government-to-government initiatives that we have are platforms for wider cooperation. So to illustrate, the Suzhou Industrial Park, which was our first government-to-government cooperation, very successful. And now recently we marked 30th anniversary of the Suzhou Industrial Park. And now we are looking at a new frontier for cooperation, where the cooperation may be wider, not just between the government entities, but with a wider ecosystem of players. Or take another example of Tianjin Eco-City. It started as a barren wasteland, and the vision was to transform this place into a place for eco-living, green living. We've achieved that vision, and recently we marked the 15th anniversary of the Tianjin Eco-City, and now we are saying let's look ahead, have a new chapter, and think about how the Tianjin project can be a model for high-quality green development and sustainable growth for China. So in each of these projects, we are constantly finding new ways to cooperate. At the same time, beyond these existing platforms, we are always open to new ideas, and we are continuing to discuss new possibilities for cooperation, including in areas like low-carbon green energy, digital economy, and biomedical sciences. So the point is the cooperation between our two countries, because of the close partnership, is never static. It never stands still. We are always upgrading, improving, trying to find new opportunities to cooperate and to be responsive to the needs of our times. That's the spirit of our cooperation. That's why I'm so confident that we can continue to do more together.
The world is now going through so many major challenges, the challenges unseen in a century. So what is your reading, your evaluation of the current global scene in terms of the geopolitical risks, all those uncertainties that we're faced with?
We are in the midst of a very messy and unpredictable transition. We are in a state of flux, and it will take time before we find a new equilibrium. I think the new order will be shaped eventually by not just a single superpower, but by all countries, large and small, by the actions and choices of all countries, big and small. And this will take time. In the meantime, we are in this period of transition, very unpredictable, very chaotic, and potentially very dangerous as well, because during this period, without clear global leadership and coordination, there are many things that can go wrong in this world. So I think what's important for all of us, countries everywhere, is to recognize the dangers that we are in, for all of us to do our part to manage geopolitical tensions and rivalry carefully in order to minimize the risk of conflict and war, for us to find ways to get countries to still work together and find win-win cooperation, especially in areas of shared interest. And then step by step, we can all work together to lay the groundwork for a new and more stable global order that may emerge in the years ahead. It will take time, but we should all do our part to shape this new global order.
But in this time of transaction, imposing heavy tariffs on so many different countries around the world might not be the proper solution, right?
We don't believe it is. The administration reflects a growing sentiment amongst the American people that they are paying too high a price to be the world's policeman, to underwrite the global system, and they have not benefited. In fact, we believe America has benefited. It has benefited if the America were to take an enlightened self-interest, not just a very narrow perspective of its interest, but a wider view of its interests, this system has benefited America too.
Back here in Singapore, you are referred as the leader of 4G, the fourth generation of political leadership. So what core values do you believe define the governing style of 4G leaders?
The leadership we have now will continue to uphold the core values of the People's Action Party. These values will never change. The values of incorruptibility, meritocracy, multiracialism, because we are a diverse society, and self-reliance. So these core values will continue to be values that my team and I will uphold in governing Singapore. But at the same time, our leadership approach will be different. Every leader has to be himself. You cannot pretend to be someone else. My approach is to be open, to listen to different views and suggestions, even if there are views which are different from mine. I would like to listen to them. I would like to engage widely and involve as many people as possible. But at the end of the day, the government must decide, must come to a decision.
What kind of narrative do 4G leaders aspire to create, especially in light of the remark you made that the best chapters of Singapore's story is yet to be written?
We hope we can continue to keep Singapore special, exceptional, a shining red dot, a shining little red dot that will continue to add value to the world and ensure that everyone in Singapore can continue to achieve better lives.
What do you mean by a shining red dot? It is small, but it's very evident and it's shining. Or what
it's a little red dot because that's the, I suppose, slogan that we have for ourselves, a little red dot.
Yes.
Because we are a small country, but shining. History has never been kind to small countries. You look around the long arc of history. Small countries find it very hard to survive. Singapore has defied the odds for 60 years. This is 60 years of independence this year. We will try to continue defying the odds of history and keep Singapore special.
A very unique experience in your career is serving as a principal private secretary to the then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong from 2005 to 2008. So what are some of the major lessons or the biggest source of inspiration that you gained from working very closely with Senior Minister Lee?
I was always struck by how devoted he was to Singapore, to the country, and how obsessed he was every single day thinking about how to keep Singapore going. Because as I said just now, we feel the vulnerabilities more as a small country. Big countries, you may feel, there are resources, you've got wealth, you've got many things you can rely on. But as a small country, we always feel we are vulnerable, we take nothing for granted. And I'm always struck by how obsessed he was. So now that the leadership baton has been passed to me, this has become my obsession. And I'll do everything in my power, together with my teammates, to keep Singapore moving forward.
Mr. Prime Minister, when you first emerged as the new leader of the nation, I don't know whether you have noticed that if you take a closer look at the headlines at that time about media coverage of you, there are sometimes a phrase that is frequently used. Do you know what it is?
I have no idea. There are many phrases.
Sometimes it's guitar playing new Prime Minister or guitar wielding Prime Minister. We heard it's actually a guitar from your father, a gift when you were a child.
That's right.
That sparked,
long ago, yes.
Yeah, about 40 years ago.
Yes.
Which sparked this passion for music and playing guitar.
Well, I started playing at a very young age, maybe 8 years old or something like that. But I never had formal lessons. I was largely self-taught.
Yes.
So I don't claim to play very well at all.
That's very modest because we saw some of the videos that is
But I enjoy
professional.
doing it. I find that music helps to break barriers. It helps to bring people together. And so I enjoy doing it. But for me personally, I just find it's a good way to unwind, to de-stress, especially doing a job like this. You do need outlets to relax from time to time.
Is there a go-to Chinese song that you really enjoyed with playing your guitar? We're just wondering.
I have played a number of Chinese songs, for example, 周华健's 朋友